In the previous video, we looked at how to determine the future value of a loan based on the formula FV is equal to P times 1 plus RT. But what if we're interested in finding something other than the future value? Well, it turns out that we can solve this formula for any of the unknowns. So let's look at the example where Adam borrowed $5,000 from his sister with the agreement that he would pay back $6,250 in 5 years. What simple interest rate is Adam paying? So in this case, we're asked to find the simple interest rate. So we're looking to solve for R. So the future value, how much he would pay back in the 5 years' time, is $6,250. The P, or the principal, is the amount he originally borrowed, which is the $5,000. The 1 remains 1. R is what we are looking for, that's our unknown, and T is the time in years, which in this case is 5. So now that we have all of our numbers put into our formula, it's important to recognize that we're solving for R, and a simpler way to write that would be $6,250 equals 5,000 times 1 plus 5R. Since we're doing R times 5, the easier way, or the way that we would typically write that, is 5R. Now, a lot of people are tempted at this point to go ahead and add what is inside the parentheses, but remember that we cannot do this since 1 does not have the R and the 5R does. Therefore, they are not like terms and they cannot be combined. So what we need to do instead is to get rid of this 5,000 on the outside. The 5,000 is multiplied by what's inside the parentheses. So if we want to get rid of it, we're going to do the opposite, or the inverse of multiplying, and we're going to divide both sides by 5,000. So we take our 6,250, divide by 5,000, and we end up with 1.25 on the left. On the right hand side, the 5,000s divide out or cancel, and we're left with 1 plus 5R. Now notice, since we no longer have the 5,000 on the outside, we no longer need to write the parentheses. Now remember, our ultimate goal here is to solve for R, so we want to get the 5R by itself. Right now it's had 1 added to it, so if we want to move the 1 to the opposite side, we're going to do the opposite, or the inverse operation, and we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. So that leaves us with 0.25 on the left and 5R on the right. Now that we have our 5R isolated, our last step is to isolate the R itself. So right now the 5 has been multiplied, so we will divide both sides by 5, and we end up with 0.05 on the left and R on the right. So R in this case is equal to 0.05. So we want the interest rate as a percent. This is the interest rate as a decimal. So to write it as a percent, all we need to do is multiply by 100%. So we end up with an R equal to 5%. So Adam is paying a simple interest rate of 5% to his sister.